Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala amma ba'du. Then we're back today, walillah alhamd, with another episode of Fatawa Tifl Muslim, the Islamic Fatawa regarding the Muslim child. And we have our special guest, Abu Yusuf Abdul Rahim Roberts. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Feek barakallah. Abu Muawiyah.
Abdul Rahim has been busy on YouTube and TikTok and everywhere else, posting important and beneficial videos. So you can check his channel out on his name is written as it is on the ticker down below, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah ta'ala. Today we're going to cover the section of the book regarding zakat and wealth of the children. Inshallah, we're going to read some fatwa regarding the fact that zakat is obligatory upon the old and the young, as well as some fatwa regarding managing the wealth of orphans, and is it permissible for one to give zakat to one's underaged siblings. So we have some 7 fatwa, inshallah ta'ala, here that will be important for those who have a number of children or have taken on orphans, and then Allah has blessed them with a little bit of wealth. Inshallah, they may get some benefit from what we have here today. You have anything before we start, Abba Yusuf?
حياك الله تفضل.
طيب.
Bismillah. So, I'm a teenager of 17 years. I live with my family and my father meets my expenses. I have possessed money saved in an Islamic bank for a year. So, is it obligatory upon me to pay its zakat?
MashaAllah. This is answered by Sheikh Ibn Jibreen. He says, zakat is obligatory upon certain forms of wealth. They are cattle, gold and silver, produce of the land, and all that is prepared for trade. Zakat is obligatory even if the possessor of this wealth is a child. So it is obligatory upon the wealth of an orphan, just as it is obligatory upon that of an adult, and the guardian is to pay it from the orphan's wealth. Zakat is also obligatory upon the profits of trade, even if it is less than the nisab, if the original capital investment had reached the nisab, and Allah knows best. And the nisab here is the specified amount that each person must have from the specific type of wealth that he has to pay zakat on. So from cattle, a certain number of cows or a certain number of sheep, so on, certain number of camels. For gold and silver, a certain weight, and so on. So if that money has reached, if you have invested the nisab in your trading, right, then as soon as you make some profit, you have to pay zakat on that money, he said, and Allah knows best.
I remember when he used to live in the UK, there was a book. It was a big, thick, white book. And it was about £50, which is, I don't know, $75. It's quite expensive. And I could never afford to buy it. But it was, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was like the best book you could get in English on zakat. And yeah, subhanAllah, that was, obviously now better to get books in Arabic. But back then I can't remember the name of the book though, subhanAllah.
No.
Do you have that one?
No. For zakat in English, the best thing I could think of is ul-Fitr, which has been translated recently by Hatem Hajj. He has that, and it has some notes and stuff to it. Other than that, um, I think the book that you're referring to, it's a very, very thick book.
Mm.
I think the book you're referring to is written by Yusuf Qaradawi.
Yes, yes, that's the one.
Yeah,
I think
and
because it was a pure fiqh book. Uh, it was one of those where okay, okay, I don't want to get into the difference of opinion on Qaradawi. I mean, I don't follow him myself. Don't want to get into that, but yeah, that was one of the books where they said, okay, it's fiqh, so there's some interesting rulings in there which you might be able to look at. But
no. Other than
Allah knows
that,
best.
I can't think of anything. I mean, Minhaj al-Salikin is translated as the path of the wayfarer. That's by Abdurrahman al-Sa'di,
Mm.
rahimahullah. It's got a section on fiqh. Now, is it going to go into the detail, into the um, into detail? No, it's going to give you the basic foundation of zakat and what is the rulings. As for modern issues and newly issues that come up in the with the modern technology and so on and so forth, then maybe this other book addresses it. But Allah knows best. I never bought it just because, even though it might just be a fiqh book, it is also Yusuf Qaradawi.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you've ever read Halal and Haram by Yusuf Qaradawi, then you can see even in his fiqh opinions how he, you know,
has some issues.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
the classic one was
basically,
the one that I always remember is the music one, and there was a few other things in there. But yeah, I had a copy of Halal Haram fil Islam in English, but yeah, just because I think they were giving it away free in the masjid one day, and I thought, okay, I'll take it. Why not? Just like I have Fadail Amal, I have a copy of that somewhere as well. I mean, because someone gave it to me for free, but I mean, it's in a box, right? I don't I don't read
no.
it, but it's just a reference.
Yeah, I know the ulama have named his book Halal and Islam because basically he makes everything halal, and he's also given fatwa to allow people to use interest to buy their first
Yeah,
house and stuff like this. And all this is going to be related to zakat and to finances and this and that. So for me, I just said, yeah, it might just be a fiqh book, but you know what? He has enough. He has issues in fiqh as well, so I'm
mm-hmm.
gonna avoid it.
No, that's right. It's best to stay away if you're not sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and with uh, uh, the access to ulama is becoming easier and easier, whether you speak Arabic or not.
Mm.
The number of people who do speak Arabic and the number of people who have studied and visited and have numbers of mashayikh and the programs that are online. And if you need a question answered, you can, if you really want it, Allah knows best, you can get it answered.
Oh yeah, you can definitely. There's no doubt. Inshallah.
You know, without going to the likes of this guy. Inshallah.
Yeah, like I said, as a disclaimer, that was about 22 years ago.
No problem. I had a brother that graduated from Medina. That's where I first saw the book. That's the only time I've ever seen the book. And he was using it and reading it. And I said, well, you speak Arabic, and why are you reading this guy's book? And he was like, and this is probably in 2000, 2001.
Mm.
And he said, because it's a really good book in the issue, and there's nothing like it in English to this depth. And I was
That's
like,
what I
yeah,
was told at the time, and I didn't have much. Well, I don't have much knowledge now, but I had even less then. So,
no.
yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
who has made us free of needing him, mashallah, and his likes.
Okay. Next question: is Zakat al-Fitr obligatory or sunnah, and upon who is it obligatory, if it is obligatory?
Just as a clarification for someone who may be listening or watch the video at a later date and not know what Zakat ul-Fitr is. Zakat ul-Fitr, before reading the answer, is the zakat that is given at the end of the month of Ramadan, right? So it'll somewhat say that in the answer here, but just in case, Zakat ul-Fitr is the zakat or the sadaqah that is given at the end of the month of Ramadan before the Eid Salat. This answer is also by Sheikh Ibn Jibreen. He says, Zakat al-Fitr is obligatory upon all Muslims because the Prophet ﷺ obligated it upon the male, female, young, and old. Its measure is a sa' of food, dates, barley, raisins, or cheese. And a sa', for clarification, is a measure which, if you take your two hands together like this, an average sized person's hands, not a little kid's hands and not Shaq's hands, right? Shaquille O'Neal's hands, but the average sized person's hands, and he scoops them together. This is a sa'. Actually, 4 scoops is a sa'. 4 of these is a sa', right? So its measure is a sa' of food, dates, barley, raisins, or cheese. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ordered that it should be paid before the people leave for the Eid prayer. It is a prophetic obligation legislated at the end of Ramadan to purify the one who fasted from vain talk and obscenity. It is also a feeding of the poor so that they can dispense from begging on the festival of Eid, and Allah is the one who gives success.
Allah.
So we see here a sa', as we said, is 4 handfuls like this. I used to have some people, they have a little cup with the isnad on it back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that this is the sa' he used in his lifetime. And it's measured out and this and that, and you can buy them, but they're hard to come across.
Oh, I've never seen one of those.
No. And
what I typically do is I just contact the family in Indonesia and ask them, what's the statutory amount that the ministry is stating per person, and then just give it over there, because there's a lot more poor people there than there are here. But
the ulama addressed this, and of course, it's not necessarily forbidden to do so, to give it overseas. But the ulama addressed this, and they say that the Prophet ﷺ, when he sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen, and he told them, you're going to a group of Christians, so let the first thing that you call them to be La ilaha illallah, and if they accept that from you, then tell them about the salah, and if they accept that from you, then tell them about the zakat, and take from their rich and give to their poor, and do not take the best of their wealth, but and beware of the dua of the oppressed one, for there is no hijab, there is no barrier between it and Allah. So it says inside there, take from their rich and give to their poor. So, and this is something that the ulama, when they speak about a wisdom in zakat, especially maybe somebody who, at the time of Abu Bakr, when the Prophet ﷺ died, many people revolted and became renegades because they didn't want to pay the zakat. And so they say that take from your rich and take from their rich and give to their poor. That way the money still stays amongst them. The money still stays amongst them. And if you want to give zakat, so they talk about this, for example, in the udhiyah, in slaughtering on the Eid al-Adha, to, many people will do it in Pakistan or in Somalia or somewhere like this, where the people are in need, and they'll send, and the ulama say, no, do it in your land, get the benefit of slaughtering, passing out the meat, making the people around you, festive, and then if you want to give sadaqah whenever, however you choose, as much as you choose. And Allah knows best, but they don't say it's wrong. They don't say it's like prohibited to do so, to give it outside, but they say it's better for you to give it inside your land. Plus, one of the benefits is that you give it to the poor, and you're able to, like for instance, in our masjid in St. Louis, we don't like to collect the zakat for the people and then give it out, the zakat al-Fitr. We like them to go and see the people. Let's go. Come on with us. Knock on the door and meet the people. You could see their house. You could see their tattered chairs. You could see the rug worn out or the floor bruised, and you could see the ceiling fan broken and not working, or whatever the case is. Come with us and see the people, know the people, get to know your brothers, get to know your sisters and their situations. And like this could be done with Zakat al-Fitr, you know. So to give in your country and where you are, and Allah knows best is better. And a lot of people say, for example, you know, in America, there's no poor people. The people here aren't poor. But Allah Azza wa Jal said, and I learned this from one of the brothers who graduated from Medina, Sheikh Abdurrahman al-Amaysan. He was talking about this ayah. It was during Ramadan. And in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah Azza wa Jal with Musa and Khadr, alayhi salatu wassalam, when Khadr began to explain to Musa the reasons why he did what he did, he said, I put a hole in the ship because the ship belonged to some poor people. And they were working on the river, and ahead of them was a king who was seizing every ship by force. But Allah Azza wa Jal, if I told you there's some people that have a boat, they got jobs and they got a boat and they're working, you'd be like, man, that dude ain't poor. He's got a boat. You know, he's got a boat. But Allah described them as being masakin. Right? He described them, even though they had a job, even though they had a boat, you know, they were described as being poor. Poor doesn't necessarily mean being miskin, doesn't mean that your clothes have holes in them and you haven't eaten in a week and this and that. Poor means you can't pay your bills. You know, you're living month to month, or you're falling behind on this bill to pay that bill, so on and so forth, you know. And that's probably most Americans, at least most Salafis in America, that's most of our situation, you know.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. Because most of the jobs as well you're going to do in the US, I remember in the UK, really difficult. You know, like to find a job which is, you know, something halal, and then, you know, in the job itself, like, you know, maybe they'll force you to pay into a pension. What's the pension about? Oh, it's difficult. SubhanAllah.
No. No. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Where are we at? Waco Bear says, Assalamu alaikum. We say, Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. Waco Bear is always there, man. MashaAllah.
No, always there, mashallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Number 63.
I was just looking at this eye in Surah Al-Kahf, because I just wanted to see what's. Yeah, sah, you're right. Yeah. You read it every week.
No.
فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر. صح. SubhanAllah. I never saw this. I never registered the word miskin.
No.
It's a beautiful thing, man, to ponder on the Quran. Jazakallah khair. That's very nice.
No. Just to stop for a second before we read number 63. Regarding, I'm looking online in the English Diwan, it says, for books on Zakat, there's the chapter on Zakat from Shar al-Mumti', which is Sheikh Uthaymeen's explanation of Zad al-Mustaqni'. So that's there, right? His explanation. Let's see what else is there.
Yeah, that's an amazing resource, that English Diwan, mashallah.
There's a book on Zakat and Sadaqat by Sahih International. That's by that sister Maryam. She's very she has a lot of good works. Um, there's also Fatawa regarding fasting and Zakat by a group of scholars, meaning by Bin Baz and Uthaymeen and Jibreen and the Lajnat al-Da'ima. There's also the Book of Zakat and Fasting by Sheikh Uthaymeen from his explanation of Umdat al-Ahkam. And then I'm going to type it in one more way and see what else I can come up with. Here's essential questions and answers regarding contemporary zakat by Naveed Ayaz, the brother who graduated from Medina out of the UK.
And just, brother, if anyone's watching this subsequently, like in a year's time or something, how can they join the English Diwan Telegram group?
Just go to it and join up.
No, I mean, how just for someone who maybe doesn't know what Telegram is or something.
They'd have to download it and then just search for the English Diwan. I can put it up here.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. This is amazing resource, mashallah. So many books in English on various Islamic topics. You can find almost anything in there now, subhanAllah.
35 points from the chapter of Zakat al-Fitr from Shar al-Mumti' by Sheikh Uthaymeen. So that's Zakat al-Fitr only. The rulings on Zakat al-Fitr by Murtaza Bakhsh. He's a student, not a sheikh. But then there's Establish the Salat and Pay the Zakat by Sheikh Uthaymeen.
Here's an interesting question from someone on YouTube. What's the difference between al-miskin wal-faqir?
No.
I heard this definition before, but maybe you know better than me, Abu Muawiyah.
I know one of them. I'm just trying to the miskin is considered a person who has enough money, right? Let me see. The miskin is the one who he can bounce around his bills, live month to month. He can let the electric bill go this month, not pay it, and pay the gas or the water bill, and then pay the electric bill next month and not pay the gas and water bill. He can bounce things around to try to make things happen, while the faqir is the one who can't maybe pay either one or doesn't have enough money for food and so on. So the faqir is usually described as the one who is more in poverty than the miskin. The faqir is more miskin than the faqir is more poor than the miskin.
Here's one for you, which when I was studying al-ism tafdil, like kabir, akbar, saghir, asghar, يعني there's no ism tafdil for miskin. You have to use faqir. You can't say amskin or something. You can't. There's no such word. You have to say afqar. Huwa afqar minhu. I'd never delved into it, but I need to ask someone eventually. Maybe you know, but in the Lugha, why there's no ism tafdil for miskin? I don't know.
I don't know.
But,
I don't know.
I like this kind of stuff. It's fascinating. Because you can't actually, because the miskin and faqir are different levels of poverty, let's say, or difficulty in living.
Of poverty, the Prophet Allah called it poverty. Both of them,
right? But they're different levels, so
for sure.
Yeah. So to say you want to say someone is afqar, it's almost like you're putting them on the level of faqir. But I don't know. Allah knows best. I have this list of questions as I go through Arabic language learning that I need to eventually ask someone.
No. But definitely, المسكين أحسن حالا من الفقير فالفقير هو الشخص الذي لا يمتلك أي شيء، أما المسكين فهو الذي يملك القليل لكنه لا يكفيه لتغطية احتياجاته الأساسية. So the miskin is in a better condition than the faqir. The faqir person is one who doesn't have anything, and miskin is one who he owns something, but it is little and is not enough to cover his basic essential needs.
I think one of the morning adhkar, if I'm not mistaken, mentions seeking refuge from being of the fuqara.
من الفقر نعم. من الفقر.
But I think but from being of the masakin is not necessarily something. Yeah, I mean, being of the masakin. I mean, subhanAllah, I'm on the real limit of my knowledge here, but I think I remember one talib al-ilm talking about this and saying, you know, the Prophet asked. Well, no, I'm not going to say it because I'm out of my. I can't remember. But miskin is not necessarily something bad, whereas faqir is, if I remember rightly. Wallahu a'lam.
Sophia Felli, if I said that right, says Jazakumullah khairan. We say wa yak. Inshallah. Anyway, there's some nice books on the English Diwan if you want to get into zakat. Like I said, Umdat al-Fiqh is translated. Manhaj al-Salikin, called The Path of the Wayfarer, is translated. And I'm sure there are some others in the English Diwan and other than that. And if there's not anything exhaustive, then that's a shortcoming from us that we need to find one and provide something. There's Khalid al-Mashiqih, there's Sheikh Saad al-Shitri, and there's Sheikh Suleiman al-Rahili. All of them have books in these affairs dealing with money and zakat and so on that we should be translating and making available so that someone doesn't have to go back to, you know, the YQ. There's always something with that YQ, huh? Don't name your son with the YQ. Yasir Qadi, Yusuf Qaradawi. I'm sorry if there's any Salafis out there with YQ, but you know, mashallah.
Man, we're getting controversial now, yeah, Abu Muawiyah. Number 63. We fostered an orphan whose family passed away. He has uncles, and whosoever wants to do good gives him money, and sometimes we receive money as well, bearing in mind that what is donated to him is more than what we receive. We consider him as part of the family. Please enlighten us about this. May Allah reward you with good.
Now, this is answered by Sheikh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah. He says, there is no blame upon you taking from that which is donated to him if it is equal to your expenditure on him or less. As for that which is more than your expenditure upon him, it is upon you to save this for him. Rejoice at the ample reward for your fostering him and kindness towards him. So, not only you can take from him whatever you spend on him, whatever his expenses are, then you can take from that money which is given to him, or whichever money he was inherited, or whatever the case may be, or less than that amount, but not more than that. And then he said, he made dua, which was really nice. Rejoice at the ample reward for your fostering him and showing kindness towards him.
I was just looking for something because there's so many ayahs in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the blessings and the benefits of feeding a miskin or the yatim, but taking the wealth.
Surah Al-Ma'un.
Yeah, taking the wealth, like it's both extremes, isn't it? The Prophet Muhammad and the yatim will be like this on the Day of Judgment, and then there's on the opposite side, whoever takes the property of the yatim will be in bad shape. So it's subhanAllah.
No.
But these kind of questions are the ones which really make you realize of the blessings of having ulama that spend their whole life studying their religion so they can just answer,
No. Also,
Based
something
on-
someone might ask, what is an orphan? An orphan is someone who loses their father before they reach the age of puberty. So if a child reaches the age of puberty and then his father dies, he's not considered an orphan. He could be 12, 13 years old. His father passes away. He's not an orphan because he reached the age of puberty already. So an orphan, I know in English, we like to say, for instance, the Prophet ﷺ was a double orphan. He lost his mother and his father. But Islamically, that's not the concept. He was an orphan because his father passed away before he was born. And as for his mother passing away, then that didn't have the, that's not related to the status of an orphan, and Allah knows best. An orphan, a yatim, plural yatama, is the one who loses his father before he reaches the age of puberty. So that'll help you out who that person is. No.
Okay. The next question is it permissible to manage the wealth of orphans whilst they are underage?
Now, this was answered by Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. He said, yes, it is permissible for the guardian of an orphan to manage his wealth in a fashion that benefits the orphan and to do this gladly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُ. And do not come near to the orphan's property except to improve it until he attains the age of full strength. This is in Surah Al-An'am, ayat number 152. The guardian of the orphan manages his wealth in a manner that increases it and is in the orphan's advantage. As for him dealing with it in such a fashion that decreases or harms it, then that is not permissible.
SubhanAllah. I guess this answers the previous point I was making about touching the wealth of the orphans.
A question would come, and that is, how do you guarantee an increase? What does that mean? Because if I could guarantee an increase, I would put all my money in that and guarantee its increase. So I wonder if that entails, and this is just me wondering out loud, I wonder if that entails the possible loss or decline within a reasonable manner, not being foolish with it. But at the same time, you invest it. But if you invest it, there's a possibility of losing.
Yeah, there's a risk, yeah.
So if you have that risk, I mean, is it possible or is it only something that is known as is a known increase? And if that is, then I'd like to know what that known increase is so I could put some money in it.
Yeah, there's nothing guaranteed, man. No. Not in the world of investment.
Inshallah, let's see. There's some longer fatwas in the same issue here. Let's see what else we come up with.
Okay. So the next one is, my father passed away and left a house in which my brothers live in the city of Jeddah and a sum of money which amounts approximately to 100,000 riyals only. My mother and brothers asked me to build for them from this bequeathed money a larger house, except that one of my brothers is still underage and knows nothing of this matter. There is a definite benefit for him in this, so is it permissible for us to build this house from this sum of money, bearing in mind that the underage brother has a share in this money? MashaAllah, jazakumullahu khairan for asking this question. So many people would just grab it and run,
No. This is also answered by Sheikh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, if you are the guardian of this underage child and you see that there is a benefit in this, then there is no blame upon you due to the words of Allah the Most High, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُ. And do not come near to the orphan's property except to improve it until he attains the age of full strength. End of the answer. So if you see that this is a benefit for that young brother, then you may use his money for that, since this is going to grow him. I guess you figure, okay, he's going to be homeless, or he's going to have a very difficult childhood without maybe not having his own room or not having, a comfortable place to sleep and study, this and that, then it's going to benefit him. So, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. This just requires for a person to have taqwa, that they really need to. They really need to fear Allah in making this decision, because shaitan can easily creep into one of us and say, oh, it's for his good too. And it's really more your good, 90% yours, 10% his, or so on, something like that.
So the next one is, if a man is fostering an orphan who possesses wealth and he is observant of his welfare, is it permissible for him to manage the wealth of this orphan, bearing in mind that the capital wealth of the orphan is preserved and will be returned to him?
Okay. This was answered by Sheikh ibn Baz, rahimahullah. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered improving the affairs of the orphans and has forbidden that their wealth should be drawn close to except in its investment for them. For he said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنَ الْيَتَامَى قُلْ إِصْلَاحٌ لَهُمْ خَيْرٌ وَإِنْ يُخَالِطُوهُمْ فَإِخْوَانُكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ الْمُفْسِدَ مِنَ الْمُصْلِحِ. Which means, and they ask you concerning the orphans, say, to improve their affairs is best. And if you mix your affairs with theirs, then they are your brothers, and Allah knows him who means mischief from he who means good. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 220. He subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُ. And do not come near to the orphan's property except to improve it until he attains the age of full strength. It is obligatory upon the guardian of the orphan to put it into practice, the implication, or to put into practice the implication of these two ayat. That is, to improve the wealth of the orphan by exerting effort in its investment, its increase and preservation, by either trading with it or entrusting it to someone reliable who can do this. This can be for a shared portion of the profit, such as half, or that similar to the custom of the country of trade. If he donates the entire profits to the orphan, then this is something virtuous and superior. As for the guardian of the orphan dealing in the orphan's wealth for his own benefit to suit his needs and develop his own business, etc., the apparent is this is not permissible. That is because this is neither from improving the affairs of the orphan nor from approaching it to enhance it. If he spends it to preserve it for the orphan, having the intention of taking it as a loan, because if it were to remain, he would fear its loss or theft, etc., and he is unable to find someone reliable to invest in it, then in this condition it is considered to be improving it and preserving the orphan's wealth, provided he is well off and there is no danger upon the orphan's wealth by it remaining in his debt. The summary is that it is obligatory upon the guardian of the orphan to do the best for him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the one who means mischief from the one who means good. He rewards every doer by his deed. If good, then good, and if evil, then evil. And we ask him to give us and you the ability to do that which pleases him.
SubhanAllah, this is, for me, this is a complicated one for the person intending to do it. فإنما الأعمال بالنيات. It's not something zahir, it's not something apparent, it's something batin, it's something inside. So this is for the person, purely between the person and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because and sometimes, I don't know about you, but you have to step back and ask yourself, what is really my intention here,
No.
What is really my intention? SubhanAllah.
For sure. So if he were to invest that money, if the orphan had some money and he were to invest it to make some profit, then he says he could take up to half or whatever is the custom of that country, a quarter, half, whatever, something which is fair. Right? I do the business on his behalf. I'm going to take his money, do the business on his behalf. Whatever profit we make, we're going to split it. I'm doing the business. He put up the money, whatever is the custom of that country. Right? If he donates the entire profits to the orphan, then this is something virtuous and superior. As for dealing with the orphan's wealth for his own benefit to suit his needs or develop his own business, then the apparent is this is not permissible. If he spends it to preserve it for the orphan, having the intention of taking it as a loan, if he spends it to preserve it, meaning he uses it for, I guess, his business, knowing that he has enough money to pay it back.
Okay, so it's complicated internal intention issue. This one, this is, I think, what the sheikh is saying is, look, you know your situation. If you meet all these criteria, go ahead. But it's your intention that's the most important thing,
Right.
So many people could be corrupted by this, and I know so many psychological issues where people convince themselves and of things. Yeah, I'm sure it will be fine. Yeah, let's go ahead.
That's why I said you have to use the 2 ayat. Number 1, don't come near the orphan's property except to improve it until he reaches the age of full strength. And number 2, they ask you regarding the orphans, say to improve their affairs is better. If you mix their affairs with yours, then they're your brothers, and Allah knows him who means mischief from he who means good.
SubhanAllah. Allahu Akbar.
Last question in this chapter, inshallah ta'ala.
SubhanAllah, man, these ulama get tough questions. SubhanAllah.
No.
Is it correct for me to pay the zakat due on my wealth or zakat al-Fitr to my underage brothers and sisters who are cared for by my mother since the death of our father? May Allah have mercy upon him. Is it also correct for me to pay this zakat to my other brothers and sisters who are not underaged? However, I feel that they are in need of it more than other people to whom I may pay it to.
This was answered by Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. He said, paying zakat to relatives who deserve it is better than paying it to those who are not your relatives, because to spend in charity upon relatives is charity as well as maintaining family ties, except for if these relatives are from those people whom their expenditure is obligatory upon you, and you gave them of your zakat to protect your wealth from expense, for this is not permissible. If your brothers and sisters you mentioned are poor and your wealth is not sufficient to cover their expenditure, then there is no blame upon you in giving to them from your zakat. Similarly, if your brothers and sisters were in debt and you redeemed their debts from your zakat, then there is no blame upon you in this either. This is because it is not obligatory for a relative to redeem the debt of his relative, and so its redemption from his zakat suffices. Even if your son or father is in debt to someone and he cannot redeem it, it is permissible for you to settle his debt from your zakat, with the condition that the reason for his debt is not in order to gain expenditure from you that is obligatory upon you. For if the reason behind this debt is this, then it is not permissible for you to redeem his debt from your zakat. This is so that it is not taken as a trick by the one paying the zakat to escape from spending upon those whom their expenditure is obligatory upon him. That is, his dependents borrow and then he redeems the debt from his zakat. End of his answer.
These are complex issues, man.
No.
Complex. I remember every year in the UK there would be people coming like the night before Eid, trying to find out what they do.
No.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah, we have that same scenario every year in our masjid. People coming at the last minute. And then we have the opposite, where people come and pay their Zakat al-Fitr 2 weeks ahead of time in the middle of Ramadan. And we're like, where are we going to store this stuff? We don't even want to take it from you in the first place.
Yes.
We want you to give it out to the people. And so, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So anyway, here just to recap he says it's permissible to give zakat to your relatives. It's better to give it to them because it's not only charity, it's not only fulfilling the obligation of zakat or sadaqah, but it is also maintaining the family ties. So it's a double or even a triple benefit, triple reward. Except if those relatives are those whom you have an obligation to take care of, such as a young child, right? Or someone who, for instance, your father's passed away and you have to take care of your mother or something like that. If this is someone that you are obligated to take care of, then you cannot give them zakat if the reason for that is that you didn't that you don't necessarily want to pay for them, or they incurred a debt because you were supposed to buy them whatever they needed, whatever was necessary for them, and so they took on a debt because you wouldn't take care of them, and then therefore you go and pay off their debt. So then you don't have to pay zakat, or you don't have to take care of them. And this is the issue here. So, but if there are people who you take care of and you need to give it to them, then there's no problem. But the problem is if you're trying to avoid paying zakat, or you're trying to avoid taking care of them and paying zakat, so therefore you just let them get a debt and then go pay off the debt, and that's your zakat, and you're taking care of them, then this is a trickery which is not permissible. Alhamdulillah. With that, we conclude the chapter on zakat and the wealth and orphans, Zakat al-Fitr. And we said there's quite a few books, 8 to 10 books available in English Diwan regarding zakat, and even a few other fiqh books that address it from a just a matter of Quran and Sunnah perspective without getting to the modern day issues. I did the chapter of zakat from Umdat al-Fiqh and the chapter of zakat from Minhaj al-Salikin on my channel. Each of them in about 5 or 6 videos where we read it word for word and explained it in 5 or 6 videos. We read those chapters from Umdat al-Fiqh and from Minhaj al-Salikin. You can find them on my playlist on my YouTube channel. Next week, inshallah ta'ala, we'll deal with the subject of fasting and children.
Oh, interesting.
The subject of fasting. Right? Is it obligatory upon the one who has lost his memory, the mentally handicapped, the child, and the insane to fast? A child persists in fasting while this harms him. Is the reward for the child who fasts for him or for his parents? If the pregnant or breastfeeding woman fear for their children, right? And then after that, the chapter on Hajj. So next week is only 4 questions, but we may just enter into Hajj just because I'm sure Hajj will be short as well, right? Yeah, we can maybe do Hajj and fasting next week. And then we have breastfeeding. We have a number of subjects left. We have 152 Fatawa, and we've only reached number 67. So we're not even quite halfway there yet. We hope that you're benefiting. You can share the channel. We wait until the next day because that's when YouTube finishes uploading the video fully. even though it'll be available immediately. It's not available for download until some hours afterwards. So tomorrow we'll download the video, we'll cut it into individual fatwas and post them online, inshallah ta'ala. We'll also break up this video here where it'll have like chapters in the bottom so you could skip from one chapter to the next inside the questions. And then we'll do that tomorrow. And then you can share these videos. You can give a like. You can leave a comment. All of that helps the YouTube algorithm say, hey, there's some benefit in these videos in this channel. And they put them into the channels or the feeds of people who are not aware of this channel or haven't subscribed. And it gives them a chance to find out. So if you're benefiting, and it seems that there is some benefit that, every week we have 150 people have viewed the videos, then there's some benefit by the simple act of clicking the like button, sharing, commenting, even if it's just to say Jazakallah khairan, or if you have a question related to what we said or read, then, or a clarification for something we may have made a mistake on, no problem. We welcome all that. But all that helps us to spread this knowledge. So join us in doing so, inshallah ta'ala. And again, you want to find out the beneficial content of Abdurrahim Roberts, you can find him on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. You want to hear a story about learning Arabic in Indonesian, he'll tell you in Indonesian, English, and in Arabic. You want to hear a story about how he became a Muslim, you want to hear all that. He's got beneficial videos on good character and many things. So check him out, inshallah ta'ala. That's all I have for today. Jazakumullah khairan. Anything anything closing remarks?
I always found Zakat quite it's one of those subjects which is it's a pillar of Islam, but it's something that happens once a year, but obviously we have to consider it all the time because it builds up to that point during Ramadan. But it can, these kind of discussions can come across as a bit dry sometimes because the questions being asked are so specific to everyone has a specific set of circumstances, and then there's going to be people out there that have those circumstances, but then there's going to be others that don't, and they have another specific set of circumstances. So it's one of those subjects which is really I always you have to go to a scholar that really.
But if you the issue is I definitely understand, but I think it really just requires you to learn. If you go and learn 100%. How many grams of gold, how many grams of silver, how many cows, how many sheep, how many this, how many that, what is this? Is money included in gold and silver? What about investments? What about debts? What about this? What about that? Does my house include? Is my car? You go and you learn these things. And once you learn these ayat, these ahadith, you can apply it because Islam is simple. Alhamdulillah, Islam is really a simple religion. We just have to go and learn what it is that we have that's zakat eligible by reading the Quran and reading the ahadith. And when we do so, we just have to apply it. Yeah. Now business might be a little more difficult, especially in modern days, just because, I want to own my own business. What do I do? What about who can I invest in? What can I not invest in? These types of things, cryptocurrency, all these things. These might be a little more difficult. But as far as zakat, are you buying and selling something? Did you buy a car for $5,000 in order to sell it for a profit? If you did, then that $5,000 is above the nisab, and whenever you sell it, you need to pay the zakat.
If you've had that money for over a year.
Well, it doesn't matter if you had the money for over a year if it's for buying and selling.
You
see what I'm saying? Yeah. And for what about farming? What about agriculture? What about gold and silver? What if there are hadith related to, for instance, agriculture. As soon as because when you plant potatoes, for example, you don't have that for a whole year. Potatoes are a season. You plant them in the spring, you get them in the fall. You understand? So there's no whole year on that. Whenever you dig those potatoes up, you owe zakat on that. You understand?
And then there's jewelry as well. Jewelry is another one that sometimes gets forgotten.
Jewelry would be related to the gold and silver, and if you had it for a year, and how much does it weigh, and how much is it worth, like this. But not how much it's worth, but how much does it weigh? And so, but like, are you mining for gems and diamonds and rubies and stuff like this, things like this? And then agriculture. Am I watering the plants? Am I having to go out and send one of them tractors out with water and water my plants, water my crops, or does the rain water them? If the rain waters them, then I have to give more. And if I have to water them myself, then I give less. Once you learn those rules, you just apply it. But we're usually lazy, so we want someone to come and say, Sheikh, look, so-and-so died. He left behind a mother, 2 sisters, a brother, and 2 sons and a daughter. What's the inheritance? It's all right there in the Quran. You just got to figure it out. We don't want to, that's our sad situation. We don't want to learn Quran and Sunnah. We just want someone to do it for us, and that's fine. Wallahi, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you take that position on and say, listen, I'm a blind follower. I don't know any better. I'm not capable of learning. I'm not capable of being a talib al-ilm. Whatever the sheikh tells me, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I tell the sheikh how much money I got, he's going to tell me my zakat. I tell the sheikh how many people died, how many people left behind when he dies, he's going to tell me how to divide it. I don't have the ability. Fine. The problem becomes when you're Salafi and you're refuting everybody and you're trying to tell everybody that they're right or wrong in things, and you still got to go to a sheikh to figure out your zakat. That's the problem. No problem with saying, hey, I'm a old farm boy. I don't know nothing. All I need is the sheikh to tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to worship Allah. Let him guide me in this. He's better with numbers than I am. I'm not, hey, I know when to plant, how to plant, what vitamins to put in the dirt to make the potatoes grow big. I know that, but I don't know numbers and money and zakat and inheritance law. I don't have the ability to retain all that. That's fine. Just the problem just becomes when you say, no, I'm a talib al-ilm and I'm this and I'm that, and you still need a sheikh to tell you how to do zakat and sadaqah, and the wife is pregnant, can she break her fast? And I thought you was a talib al-ilm. You just make tabdiyah the sheikh yesterday, and now you're trying to figure out, can your wife break her fast or not? He's going to hell. Allah's never going to forgive him. Allah's never going to accept his repentance because innovators don't repent. Yet you don't know if your wife can break her fast or not.
That sounds like you've had some experiences with the these jarh and ta'dil people that
of course
don't know the shurut of
we ourselves may have fallen into these things sometimes. We ourselves may have fallen into, maybe not jarh with ta'dil, but other issues that were
definitely
that were for people above. We thought we were ready, and become raisins before we were grapes.
Man, I was in and out like my Arabic class the other night, and I was tired, man. And the ustad was asking me questions, and my brain wouldn't work. So I managed to make it through the class. I finished it, and I just felt like, goodness me. But sometimes those experiences help keep you grounded,
No.
They keep you humble. Come on, Abdurrahim, man, you don't know nothing. You don't even know the ruling on the muthanna of this or that. I mean, come on. Yeah. So it's all good, man. Alhamdulillah. It's all good to stay humble. It's good to stay humble. I always remember Sheikh Falah. Allah yarhamu, I'm sure you were there when, what's the name of the sheikh, the sheikh that came, the blind sheikh?
Sheikh Saleh Suhaimi.
Suhaimi, yes. And Sheikh Falah, Allah yarhamu, was sitting on the right-hand side. And Sheikh Suhaimi was giving the lecture. And Sheikh Suhaimi said something about Sheikh Falah, like he said, our sheikh, or our, something, he referred to him in terms of very glowing terms, And at the end,
No.
Sheikh Falah came over and he said, no, I'm not his sheikh, I'm his student.
No.
Subhanallah.
No. Yeah. Well, the brother I mentioned earlier about Abdurrahman Umaysan, he's in Michigan. He's a Yemeni, but he was raised in America. And he spent 18 years in Medina, got his doctorate. And he was very close with Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, still to this day, and Abdul Razak, Hafidhahumullah Ta'ala. And he mentioned the story recently. He mentioned it before, but somebody passed it around the other day. The Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, he didn't like to be called Sheikh. He didn't like to be called Al-Allama. He didn't like to be called Al-Muhaddith, even though he's the Muhaddith of our times, according to the other ulama of our times. So Kuwait had printed one of his books, and they came, and they were in the lesson, and the Sheikh said, we won't have a lesson today or tomorrow like this, and they were like, why we're not having the lesson? He said, no, we're not going to have the lesson. It was in Sunan Abi Dawood. But I need some brother's help. And he took some of the students with him, that when Kuwait had printed the book, they printed on the cover like Al-Allama Al-Muhaddith Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad al-Badr. Like this. Al-Sheikh Al-Allama Al-Muhaddith, like this. And he took the students, he said, before these books can be distributed, we have to take it out. It's in 3 places, on the cover, on the inside page, and another place. All of them need to be whited out before we can give these books out. I'm not Sheikh, I'm not the Mu'allama, I'm not the Muhaddith of anything.
Subhanallah.
This Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, man.
Yeah, man. Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. So, and he says, I don't know. When he asks a question, he says, I don't know. Subhanallah. Question me and you might know, or think we know anyway.
Yeah, think we know. That's the key. Think we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Subhanallah.
May Allah forgive us.
Ameen.
Anything closing remarks? May Allah make us from the mukhlisin.
Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.